on-off switch on the side. When you turn it on, the light will come on by the needle. The hand wheel is right above it. Turn the hand wheel towards you. It makes the needle go up and down. Just make sure when you're done with the hand wheel, you have your ridge pointing to the top. Okay, from there we're going to move to the spool, pin, and cap. So the little cap comes off, the spool of thread goes on, and then the cap goes back on. The caps come in different sizes. The cap over there is much larger, so it doesn't really matter exactly. So spool, pin, and cap, hold your spool of thread, and then if you're threading, you go through the thread guide. So this is a thread guide, put the thread through. There's a thread guide in the back. Can you see that one in the back, this little arm? So it goes around the arm, and then it's just following the thread guides. There's an arrow that says number 3 up to the take-up lever, and it's inside your machine, and you can only see it if your hand wheel's in the right spot. Otherwise, it goes up and down. It has to do with tension. So the thread guide. So through the thread guide and then down to the needle. So let's go back though to all the stuff on the top. To be able to sew, we need to use a bobbin. We used bobbins last year just to get thread off of. The little bobbin goes onto here. The thread goes through the bobbin winder, which is this thing. Goes around the arm, and I'll do that a little more slowly another time, but it goes around the arm, under the button, over to the bobbin. You wind it around here, push it over, and then once you turn the machine on and use the speed controller, it will wind the bobbin for us. The bobbin is only on here to get thread on it. Once you get your thread on it, which this one already has, the bobbin actually lives down inside under this plastic piece called the bobbin compartment. So then you would drop your bobbin down into the bobbin compartment and get it all into where it's supposed to be, okay? So that's the bobbin compartment. It has some dials on the top, and if you look at the pictures by the dials, this one shows your thread stitches getting bigger because that's what it is. It's just how long your stitches are going to be, the length of your stitch. This one is if you do a zigzag stitch, so how wide, from a little narrow to how wide your zigzag is going to be. And then this one that shows a triangle is how tight or how much tension is in the machine. If you don't have the proper tension on your thread, you can get really loopy thread and it'll all get clogged up down inside your machine, and then you're going to get frustrated and I'm going to have to clean your machine out. So try to keep the tension between 3, 4, and 5. See how they're all connected right there? 3, 4, and 5 are connected. So keep them in that range. And if it's too tight, if you go all the way up to 7, 8, 9, then your thread's going to just be breaking because it's like grabbing and holding the thread too tightly inside. So that's why you want it between 3, 4, and 5 for thread tension. All right, so then here's a little lever on the front. You notice it has a U-turn sign, like a U on it, because when you hold it down and push on the speed controller, your machine's going to go backwards. So it's a back stitch button. It makes the machine go in reverse. I've spoke about this, I'll say. So speed controller, kind of like in a car, except it's for your foot, and you put it on the ground. So, but we don't want to call it anything to do with foot because there's another part that's called the foot. But this speed controller would go down here by your finger or by your foot, and that's something you'll have to learn as to how much pressure do you give it, because there's no way else to control it except by your foot. So you want to get to where you can just kind of get a nice even stitch going. But you got to practice that one. That's why we start with a pin cushion, so you can do some practicing. All right, so I'm going to turn it off because I'm going to talk about stuff around the needle, and you don't want to be touching the needle if someone could actually step on the speed controller, because you could get the needle into your foot. No, you could get the needle into your finger. All right, so we have the needle. Obviously right there is a needle because it looks like, let me turn it back on for a second. So it looks like a needle. Right by the needle is this little lever that helps thread the needle thread. It's a needle threader. It helps us thread the needle. So that's a kind of a fun gadget to have because you don't have to sit here with the thread and try to get through the eye of the needle. And I'll do a separate video on using the needle threader. Around the needle is the presser foot, and that's why I said I didn't want to say foot for the speed controller. The presser feet come off. Maybe last year at some point you touched the machine and the foot fell off. I don't know. But the presser feet come off because there's different feet for different types of sewing. So this is just a standard presser foot. And it goes back on by using the presser foot lifter. You can see that lever right here. Snap it back down, put that on here, snap it back down, and snaps right back on. So it's no big deal. When you're sewing, if it comes off, yes, snap it back on, and you can practice that when you're at your seat. Take them off, put it back on. Underneath the presser foot, I'm going to move it out of the way, are these little teeth. They're called feed dogs because they bite your fabric and move your fabric through the machine. So if you turn the presser or the hand wheel, you can see how they go into the machine and they just keep working it, and they grab and move your fabric. You don't have to push the fabric. The machine does it. We're just the guide. We just hold it and guide the fabric and it'll all go through. Snap that back on. We talked about that the bobbin goes inside the bobbin compartment. Then we have a storage compartment right here. Because you're not the only ones using the machine, don't set anything in there because 8th graders might take it, but it'll also come off. So if you're doing something where you have something that's narrow, like a sleeve or a pant leg, you can take it off, and or even the top of your bag, and it'll more easily go around in a circle onto this storage compartment and extension table. When it's on, gives you a bigger work surface. Some machines have them and some machines don't have them just the same, but it's nice when you have a little storage here if it's your own machine. Okay, then on the front, there's this other dial that turns this, and this is related to which stitch selector. So we've got all these different stitches we can use. Some of them are in the white, some are in red, and some are in black, and they depend on what we're doing on different parts as to which one. We're going to concern ourselves with stitch number 2 and stitch number 5. So we will use both of those stitches because stitch number 5 gives you a straight stitch and a zigzag all in one, and it's a nice tight stitch for your bags to keep your bags so they don't fall apart. So stitch selector. All right, I think that's all of them. So at some point I'll get that uploaded to YouTube and then on to Google Classroom.